Hey, everybody, before we get to the episode, if you are listening to this before Thursday, the 29th of July, I did remember what the date was.
It sounded
Mark,
like,
leave me alone.
Hold on a second. That pause made it sound like you were one of those commercials where they plug it in. It's like, hey, if you're going to be here on July 29th, then check out our live show. We're doing a live town hall. Hal, tell them about it. That show that we're doing on July 29th.
Just come to the Facebook group, facebook.com/groups/ We Got This Podcast at 6 p.m. Pacific time, 9 p.m. Eastern time, whatever p.m. or a.m., wherever you are in the world, your time.
3 a.m. in Italy.
3 a.m. in Italy. We're going to be hanging out. It'll be me and Mark and Ken will be taking your questions, your feedback perhaps, and just hanging out for about an hour or so. We did one a while back and it was a lot of fun. So we figured we'd do it again. It's our chance to connect with you, the people of the world, and actually hear some of your reactions to our episode. So join us on Thursday, the 29th of July, 6 p.m. Pacific time, 9 p.m. Eastern time at facebook.com/groups/ We Got This Podcast.
And thank you.
Free balloons for the kids.
There will be no free balloons.
Oh.
Hello, I'm Hal Lublin.
And I'm Mark Gagliardi.
Since the dawn of humanity, one issue has gone unsettled. With the fate of the world in the balance, we're here to settle, once and for all, best Adam Sandler movie.
That's right. Don't worry, everyone. We got this.
Podcast should have a theme song. Podcast should not have a theme song. Yes, they should. No, they shouldn't. They sound good. Yeah, but people are just going to skip past it. You know what? You're right. We got this.
You know, I was real tempted, Hal, to begin with like a habahoo, one of those like old classic Sandler voices. But after doing the dive that I had to do this week, I might be done with those habahoo, hee-ha-hoo consonantless conversations.
I don't know if you heard the release valve of oxygen from my mouth, but I was about to go like, what? Why? I was about to do it, and I'm glad I didn't. I'm glad I didn't do it.
You know what? Why don't we just get it all? Why don't we hold on a second. Let's bring Katie in here. Yes. Katie Willert, everybody, our special guest for the week.
Artist, producer,
Katie.
And friend, and so much more.
Yes.
Aw, shucks.
It's nice to see you.
Mountain
It's
Gal.
good to see you too. Yeah, Mountain Gal.
Mountain Gal now, yeah.
The one that I always remember is, oh, Veronica Vaughn, so hot. You want to touch the high knee. Ow.
Oh my God. So many of the like, Can we let's just do a cacophony right now. We'll get it out of our system of Sandler noises. All right. That felt good.
That was good.
Get it out of our system.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's why Joseph Pullen suggested this, just to hear a bunch of people making Adam Sandler noises wild into a microphone.
Yeah. Well, when I was looking at the list, I was like, okay. I don't know. I saw Adam Sandler. I would go, okay. I can get down with that.
Yeah. What is it? Are you an Adam Sandler fan? What drew you to that? Why do you feel like you can get down with that?
Well, just because, first of all, there's just such a wide breadth of options.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that people don't think that, right? When they think Adam Sandler, they think a very specific thing. They think Billy Madison, they think Happy Gilmore, you know, and he's done so many other films that are quite good. And even the Happy Gilmore and Billy Madison are also very good movies, you know, but I think it's that thing that kind of happened with Austin Powers, where like when the first movie came out, everybody was like, this is freaking amazing, right? And then the second movie and then the third movie, and then immediately there was a backlash of like, these movies suck. I watched the first Austin Powers again, and it is a very good movie. It is a well-written movie. It is very funny.
Yeah.
Jokes are very good. So I think it's kind of that thing of we just assume it's one thing when in fact it's a lot of things. Adam Sandler movies.
It's close to 50 things if we're talking just his movies at this point. And I will agree that Adam Sandler has made a lot of varied products. He's made a lot. Some of his albums are, I They're All Gonna Laugh at You, I loved growing up, was one of my favorite, like super, super raunchy, really, really funny.
Mm-hmm.
Of the movies, I'm going to go and say there's like 8 good ones.
He's interesting in that
He's made so much. He's made gold and he has made garbage.
But
I love that. I don't.
Yeah.
Sure. Oh, no. I think that's great.
I love people that aren't so precious with their careers.
Yeah.
They kind of just
Somebody called him
do.
I read a review that they said that he was smart enough to know better, savvy enough to make these movies anyway, and lazy enough not to care. I thought, oh, that is biting.
Yeah, he has a weird balance. You would expect somebody like the late Robin Williams went from being like comedy, a little bit of drama, but more, he had like his comedy period and then went more into drama, and the comedy was sort of peppered in, but really like became, I would say towards the end, he was doing a lot more serious dramatic work before he returned to television.
Mm-hmm.
And so sometimes you can take somebody's career and break it into seasons, and Adam Sandler is so all over the place. From being the kid on Remote Control to Saturday Night Live to making movies that were instantly sort of you either loved them or hated them. You loved them because they were stupid humor you loved, or you hated them because they were immature and brought down the public discourse or whatever. But he's also peppered in stuff like Punch Drunk Love and stuff like Uncut Gems. Like, but then like you'll look at be right next to Uncut Gems is Hubie Halloween. Right on top of one another.
Unpopular opinion. I f***ing loved Hubie Halloween.
I've not seen Hubie Halloween.
Loved it. It's not good. Like, it's not great, but it's, as someone who has watched all of Adam Sandler's films, and like, especially the ones that he, was Happy Madison, he produced, and, or his people, because he has the same folks show up in, all of these different movies. That was what Hubie was. It was all of those players. You could tell it was like all of his buddies and their families were staying in this area where they were shooting. All of their kids play the kids in the movie. Like, it's a, very, like a math problem, right? Like, he fit in all the variables from any movie he did. It's a very dumb premise. There's very dumb jokes, but I didn't stop smiling the whole movie. Yeah. And, what's that woman? June Squibb? She's like a very well-known, but she just wears these insane, she gets her shirts from like the Goodwill or whatever, but they're just like dumb message shirts, boner donor, like stuff like that. Just like very,
I am looking at her terrible t-shirts right now.
And she doesn't know. So she just, every time she shows up on screen, she's wearing a different shirt. Like, it's a joyous, dumb movie, and it was great. I enjoy, and being in lockdown at the time, and like just sitting around Halloween and watching this, watching that movie, and just being like, this is exactly what I need. Not everything has to.
Is this one of his Netflix movies? Like, this was part of the Netflix deal?
Yeah.
That deal, I don't know how he pulled that off, but getting Netflix to just send him around the world. I mean, he starts with a movie where he took all of his buddies to Hawaii. Yep. And they shot a movie there. Then the next one, he took Jennifer Aniston and all of his buddies to Europe and shot one in Europe. Like, they just do these crazy, exotic location bits of fluff that are delightful. Have you seen all of these?
No, I wanted to watch the one with Jennifer Aniston. I just never got around to it. There's too many things on streaming.
Yeah, you're talking about Murder Mystery, where they're on a yacht.
Right.
And a murder takes place, and he's just, I mean, there's something about Adam Sandler. There's a reason why he continues to make movies. As many people might roll their eyes at him, he's super charming. He's just seems like a really likable guy. And because of that, we will follow him and watch his movies. And I hate to use the word tolerate, but we'll tolerate a level of silliness that we won't in every other person. Like, you said it perfectly, Mark, that there is a part of it. It's like, look, this is what I make. You can either like it or not. I don't care. I'm going to make it anyway because I like it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. He's got that sort of like, he feels like everybody's sibling that makes the dumbest joke. And then you look at them and they give you a face like, you're like, ugh, I hate that I love you. But I do think that we can divide it into some very specific chunks. Yes, he's peppered, as he's gone along, his collection of films have, gotten varied. So he'll make a comedy one year, a drama the next year, an animated. He'll come back as Dracula, which is great in the Hotel Transylvania movies. He'll sort of, bounce around in those. But early on, he did have these phases. He had his sort of co-star or, supporting role, early stuff that was really fun, like Airheads.
Pip. Sweet Pip.
Pip.
In his crop top. Just
sweet, dumb Pip.
So much inappropriate word that I'm not going to say. But
that's fair.
Cleaning pools.
I loved Airheads. Growing up, that was one of my, rock band holds radio station hostage.
Yeah.
You sold me in the room on that premise.
Yeah.
But so he did that, and then he had his SNL time, and he had his early comedies. And then 2002 Punch Drunk Love hits. And it feels like that was the moment that just broke all kinds of things open for, I can do stuff beyond my wacky voice, juvenile humor. And that's when I think we got to see more of, he still does a lot of dabbling versions, I think. He's like, I'm going to dabble in a murder mystery. I'm going to dabble in a rom-com. I mean, he still sort of dips his toe in them and is always himself when he does it. But from then on, it feels like that's when he opened up. Do you guys generally prefer the earlier Sandler juvenile stuff or the post Punch Drunk Love, let's break this wide open and take a crack at absolutely every type of movie?
I don't know. I mean, I think my connection to his earlier silly stuff is nostalgia and watching these movies with my dad when I was younger. That, I think that's part of it, why they hold such a deep place in my heart. But I can appreciate that he is an actor. You know what I mean?
Right.
That he's not just Adam Sandler. He is capable of even Spanglish. He just played he did a good job in that movie, and it's more like a pride in him. Good job, Adam. But I still prefer his earlier, sillier stuff, just because I think it's that nostalgia factor.
Yeah, I have a movie that I think is his best movie, and it is neither Uncut Gems nor is it Punch Drunk Love, which I don't like as a movie at all.
Punch Drunk Love?
Yeah, Paul Thomas Anderson, outside of 1.5 of his movies, is not my favorite flavor of ice cream. That said, I think Adam Sandler is fantastic in them. He's a really good actor. He's great in that. Uncut Gems was so tense to watch that I couldn't, when I sat down to watch it, I had to stop because it was just this is going to be terrible. It's just going to keep getting worse. But he is fantastic at it. And whether he's playing the son of Satan or a jeweler who's in over his head, he commits 100% and he creates his secondary reality as an actor and lives in it and goes for it.
I don't know that he always commits 100%. I've seen him really phone in some performances.
Which, like what?
Any of these, any of the ones where it's not him doing much of the heavy lifting, Pixels, Bedtime Stories, these sort of mid-career Sandler movies where he's just kind of walking through them.
Oh yeah, what was Click? Is that the one that was
Click the magic remote? Yeah.
There's just look at this with a slight sense of dumb awe. Okay. You know what I mean?
Fair enough.
See, I didn't watch Uncut Gems only because I have a very hard time with that tension. Whiplash seeing Whiplash almost gave me a heart, I was by the end I had a little bit of high. I was I was very itchy.
Yes.
So when I saw the trailer for Uncut Gems, I went, oh, this looks good. I probably will not be participating in this.
Yeah.
I was
We are going to have some serious movie fans. If we have serious movie fans out there who listen to this podcast, I will apologize right now if you're on that list of people that holds Uncut Gems in this very high regard. Katie didn't see it. Hal had to stop it in the middle. I watched it and hated it.
Oh, it wasn't yours. It wasn't for you.
Not my cup of tea either. I can't handle that kind, I don't know. And maybe we can just take a moment and talk about this. For me,
sure,
I like my movies not my movies. They're everybody's movies, but I like the movies. For me, the movies that I enjoy the most are escapism. I like good things happening to good people. You know what I mean? Like I'm such a Disney kid, I guess, in that regard. But Uncut Gems is just terrible things happening to thoroughly unpleasant people for 2 hours. And it's like, guys, the only person I related to in that movie is Idina Menzel, who is the wife that just wants to get out of the entire situation and take these kids with her. Like, yeah, I also want to leave the theater that is Howard, this character's life.
Yeah, you and I are very similar. Like that, I never watched Girls because in the first episode, when Lena Dunham is leaving the hotel, her parents left her an envelope with money, and then they left an envelope with money for the housekeeper. And Lena Dunham took both envelopes and left the hotel, and I was like, I can't watch this movie.
Yeah,
or this show. I can't watch.
It's the opposite of Save the Cat. It's be a jerk.
I was just like, I can't do it. I can't watch this. So
it's not going to be Uncut Gems, but I will say, to give him credit, his performance in that movie is subtle and fascinating and weird and dark, and as disturbing as that movie is supposed to be, he makes it so.
Yes, he can carry a movie like that. Easily can do it. What are we looking for here then? Is it going to be the most Adam Sandler movie where he's the most off the wall doing a crazy like Waterboy type thing? Or is it going to be of the movies with Adam Sandler, which is the best? Is there some middle ground there?
I think that is the thing. I think it is finding him at his truest self, but also not eschewing a good film, like a good, well-written. I think it's got it's kind of the middle of that Venn diagram.
Yeah.
Okay.
At least for my choice.
No, I think that's dead on. Now I'm thinking about, not to compare it to other episodes, but it feels like when we talked about Bill Murray and landed on Groundhog Day, because it was the perfect combination of both. And in that regard, it sounds like our leadoff hitter might be Punch Drunk Love.
That's not mine.
But I mean, but that's, I'm just saying, as far as like an Adam Sandler movie that is, he's doing some acting. He's also got a little bit of funny in there. And I think I know you said you didn't like it, but, you guys are both just going, no. Why do you guys hate? Why do you guys not like Punch Drunk Love?
I loved Punch Drunk Love. I like Paul Thomas Anderson. So that I'm not with, I'm not with Hal.
Not with me. Yeah. There you go. Oh, it's interesting to see where you have, now I'm going to move my window so that you're correctly gesturing at me. There you go. Ow. Oh, wait. Ow. Ow.
For those who don't know, we're doing this on Zoom.
It's a great bit that you
I thought, you know what's funny is I thought you guys maybe had like a Patreon where you put the Zoom up. So I've been like gesturing.
Oh my God. Well, I thought you were just like half Italian and that was why you were gesturing.
I mean, I am.
There you go.
Half Italian. So that explains it. And the acrylics really.
Oh,
yeah. If you have acrylic nails, you get to gesture as much as you want. Those are delightful acrylic nails, by the way.
They're very nice.
Thank you. They're good for back and head scratches.
They're very Dolly Parton too. They're good, long.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very cool.
I have to remember how to do everything, like my phone, putting my pin in at the.
Oh yeah, because you can't really use your fingertips. You have to use your finger pads to do everything.
My knuckle to press buttons.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah.
It's fun. Sorry, where were we in this actual topic?
I was pointing out that I think objectively, because we are answering these objectively, I think that we can't objectively kick Punch Drunk Love out of contention yet.
Okay. So argue why, outside of it being a great performance. I mean, this is splitting hairs, and I can be 100% wrong, but in my mind, that's a Paul Thomas Anderson movie and not an Adam Sandler movie.
So I agree with Hal on this. I think that part of that Venn diagram is that it is an Adam Sandler produced film.
Oh, you want like a straight up Happy Madison production.
Well, okay, but here's the thing is I think that like part of the Adam Sandler movie is the community that he has cultivated throughout his career of his films. I think I agree that I think while his performance in Punch Drunk Love is amazing and varied, I think that it is a Paul Thomas Anderson film.
And yeah.
So I think that like narrowing it down, I do think that if we're talking Adam Sandler movies, we're talking Adam Sandler movies.
Right.
His stable of people.
Yeah,
You know.
that eliminates stuff that he was just an actor in. Rather than it being his sort of vehicle or production. So that gets rid of the Hotel Transylvania movies. That gets rid of Airheads and Coneheads and Going Overboard. And
was he in Coneheads?
Yeah, he's a small part in Coneheads.
Yes, everybody on SNL in 1993 is in Coneheads.
The entire cast, yeah.
Yeah. Man, I love Airheads.
There's another one, another dramatic role of his that was one of these that's not really his movie, but he stars in it, that I just wanted to throw out there as one that I enjoy. I know it's not going to be the ultimate victor. I really liked his remake of The Longest Yard.
Me too.
I thought that was a really fun sports movie.
Very good.
It was fine. It was totally fine. I enjoyed it. I've watched it several times. I own it.
Yeah. What's it? And William Sadler, not William Sadler. Who was the?
Wasn't it Burt Reynolds? Didn't he?
Burt Reynolds came back and was
Reynolds
in it.
is the coach. Is the prisoner who coaches them.
Chris Rock.
Isn't the warden, what's his name from, Zephram Cochrane? Why can't I think of his name? He was nominated for an Oscar for Babe.
All right.
James
Cromwell.
James Cromwell is the warden.
And who is the guy that I'm trying to think of?
Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Stone Cold Steve Austin was in it.
Kevin Nash.
I love
Bill
Kevin
Goldberg.
Nash. I love Kevin Nash so much.
Who's Kevin Nash?
I got to meet him. He's a pro wrestler, probably best known to people,
Magic Mike.
He's Magic Mike. He was Diesel in WWE, Big Daddy Cool. He also played Oz, a giant wrestling version of Oz before that. But, at Pensacon a couple of years ago, he and Scott Hall were doing a panel, which I moderated. And on our way over, he was like, "Hey, I had a bunch of bone spurs removed from my knees. You want to see?" And so he showed me images of what looked like those giant, like pig ears that you have to give your dog to chew on. That is a piece of bone that was pulled out of his knee. It was unbelievable. Like, just super nice guy.
Who is this guy?
Kevin Nash.
And he was a wrestler?
He's a wrestler, also an actor.
Yeah.
The guy I was thinking of is William Fichtner. That's my, one of my all-time favorite character actors. Fichtner? I thought it was because it's Ficht. I thought it was like knocked, like Fichtner.
I think it's Fitch.
Does he say Fichtner?
I don't know. I do.
A Fichtner.
Yeah.
But so it's the long story endless. It's not The Longest Yard.
Yeah.
And it's not one of the problematic ones like, I now pronounce you Chuck and Larry, which I guess meant well.
It's such a bizarre thing because it did mean so well.
Yeah. But in a version of like, hey, heteros. Hey, gay guys are people too, right?
Yeah, you can be gay, you get health insurance or whatever.
That's not a Happy Madison co-production, at least, because
is it?
That is filled with everybody. Everybody's in that.
No, I wasn't saying that. I wasn't eliminating it because it's not a Happy Madison production. I was eliminating it because it's
not
pretty
good.
terrible.
Yeah. You don't want to you want to talk about the cobbler for 15 minutes?
No.
Nobody.
What about the Meyerowitz stories? That's another one that's not his, but it's Noah Baumbach, right? That was,
see, that to me is like Noah Baumbach is all over that. So it doesn't feel like an Adam Sandler one to me.
Well, let's talk about then what
He's very good in it.
What do we think are the Adam Sandler vehicles? Adam Sandler movies, quotes around Adam Sandler movies that we think are in contention.
Well, I'll tell you mine.
Please.
It's The Wedding Singer.
That's my number one.
Is it really?
That is my number one.
It's very
Mrs.
good.
Julia Gulia.
Oh my God.
That movie is perfect.
Why don't you go have a couple drinks and drive home?
Oh my God. All right. What else was on your list? We'll get back to The Wedding Singer because
before we go through that list, I just want to point out another movie where he turns in a really good performance that I really enjoy until a certain point when it stops being the movie that I think it's going to be and becomes a different movie, which is Funny People. It's him and Judd Apatow together and him playing essentially a version of a super popular, he's George Simmons, which is a Adam Sandler-esque, character. And it's him and Seth Rogen. And I think it is it's sort of a forgotten film. It's not the best one, but it is really, really enjoyable. And he and Seth Rogen are great together. And Jonah Hill is hilarious in it. Like, it's got a really good, and he and Judd Apatow were roommates in like the early 90s.
Oh, really?
Or late 80s.
I didn't know that.
So it opens with footage of Adam Sandler as a young man, as a young comedian making prank calls that Judd Apatow was filming because they lived together. So it's kind of neat to see them together. And he is, of course, great in it, but it is not his best movie.
He has that little bit of drama. There's the drama of it as well. So it's got the comedy and it's got both masks.
Yes.
But again,
masks.
In what we were talking about before, then it becomes what you were saying, Katie, like that is an Apatow movie. And maybe this is the downfall of him working with great directors for this episode is the best Adam Sandler movie could be one of those, but we're not looking at them as that. We're looking at them as an Apatow, an Anderson, and a Baumbach movie. We're not looking at them as 3 Adam Sandler movies.
Right. Those aren't Adam Sandler movies. It's just a good performance. Just what we were talking about is good performances. That's one I really liked that,
Sure. So we have The Wedding Singer on the list. I have to put Billy Madison and Happy Gilmore on there.
100%. I actually, the Waterboy, I feel like is very quintessentially an Adam Sandler movie. It's kind of got the formula, which was the word I was looking for before when I said equation. I meant formula.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely he knows the formula and he's plugging in all the different variables. And it's got all his people.
Yeah.
And figures of bulk and Kathy Bates.
I'll throw a couple on there.
Okay.
One is, I like The Wedding Singer a lot. And as much as I like it, I think I might like 50 First Dates more.
Oh, yeah?
Because of not only the way the story develops, but also him. I love watching him going like, what if we, there's no reason for this to be set in Hawaii. No reason whatsoever.
Yeah.
And yet it is, which
because he likes going to Hawaii.
He wants to go to Hawaii. But also I think the ending is really, really, really sweet.
Remind me the ending of that movie.
At the end of the movie, she wakes up to a tape that he makes her every single day that that catches her up on everything that has happened. And she emerges above deck to see her children and him. And he's on his Arctic exploration to study penguins because that's his whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
And that they're finding a way. He's found a way for them to navigate. He's basically the whole family is there and he's found a way for them to be together and to navigate their life. So she's not like freaked out all the time. And it's great. Because that's after you see that she actually remembers him. Something has stuck in her brain, even though it's reset to whatever I think it was the day she was in the accident. That's when her memory stops. So she thinks it's that morning every morning as she wakes up. I think that one is really good. I like him with Jennifer Aniston. I actually think that,
if you say Murder Mystery,
I think Murder Mystery is a good movie. But I also like Go With It, which is even, it's not, I don't think it's the best one.
Which one is Go With It?
Go With It is the one where he is dating Brooklyn Decker.
Of course
he's a dentist.
Sorry. Of course he is.
He meets her and lies to her in order to, he tells her that Jennifer Aniston is his ex-wife, that she is his long-suffering assistant and they have a really good relationship. And she has 2 kids. She's a single mom with 2 kids. I'm remembering it now. The whole thing with Brooklyn Decker, she wants a family man. Mm-hmm. And so he's like, oh, well, these are my kids that I have with my ex-wife. And we're all going to go to Hawaii together because Brooklyn's like, well, aren't you going to bring them along? Why wouldn't you bring your kids? And over time, he realizes he's in love with Jennifer Aniston. And it's just their chemistry is really good. I guess they're longtime friends.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I like that.
Ask you this, though.
The movie I would throw up there as a contender for winner is the bridge from the Happy Gilmore and Billy Madison into The Wedding Singer, which is Big Daddy.
Yeah. So Big Daddy also was up there for me because it has the component of actually truly being a very good film. Like the plot and the acting is there. Mm-hmm. The stakes are there. Mm-hmm. Whereas Wedding Singer doesn't have, the stakes are not as high as Big Daddy. But yeah, it's got the silliness, the wackiness, but so much heart.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's take a quick break and then we will come back and talk a little bit more about Big Daddy. Sound good?
Yeah.
All right.
I wish we would.
We'll be right back.
Taking a break.
Taking a break.
Taking a break. Gonna hear commercials.
This episode of We Got This with Mark and Hal is brought to you in part by Made In. Hal, you're a guy that likes his time in the kitchen, yes?
Yes, I do. I love it. I've cooked a ton, especially during the pandemic, and I've realized now how important having the proper tools for the job can be.
Yeah, and if quality and craftsmanship are important to you, you should check out Made In. Made In is a cookware and kitchenware brand that works with renowned chefs and artisans to produce some of the world's best pots, pans, knives, and wine glasses. Hal, which product did you get from Made In?
I got a nonstick pan, which it's such a pleasure to have something that says nonstick that is actually nonstick.
Yeah.
Because you know what it's like when you get something, they're like, oh, this is now, whatever I cooked in here is cemented on it.
Yeah.
And I know I've cooked it properly, but it's so high quality. And it was tough to pick between, because they have so many, I kind of want to get everything they have.
I know.
They just have, whatever you cook, however you cook, they've got an amazing, well-made tool for you. What did you get?
I got the 9-inch chef's knife, and it is now my standard. It's my go-to in the kitchen since I got it. You know it's a great knife because you can do that. Just put it on your finger test, like right where the hilt meets the blade. You can. That's perfectly balanced. I was like, okay, I'm a fan of this knife already. Then I threw just to see how sharp it was, I threw a paper bag in the air and totally Fruit Ninja swiped it, which I do not recommend to anyone. And like it was the silk scarf in the classic film The Bodyguard, as it fell over the katana blade. This is a sharp knife, which is nice that Made In sends it with a little Made In Band-Aid, which I thought was a nice touch. It's a great knife. I use it every day. Yeah.
Their cookware distributes heat evenly and can easily go from the stovetop to the oven, which is great if you make steaks like I do. And as Mark has told you, their knives are fully forged, perfectly balanced, and they stay sharp.
They have 32,000 plus 5-star reviews, and their products are used by some of the world's best chefs at Michelin-starred restaurants around the world. Right now, Made In is offering our listeners 15% off of your first order with promo code WeGotThis. This is the best discount available anywhere online for Made In products. And you know who got this discount? We got this.
Go to madeincookware.com/WeGotThis and use promo code WeGotThis for 15% off your first order.
That's madeincookware.com/WeGotThis. Use promo code WeGotThis.
If you're stressed, if you're tired, if you just don't feel like cooking, I get it. But food that's fast doesn't have to be fast food. Freshly offers quality meals without the hard work of prepping, cooking, and cleaning. Freshly offers chef-made, nutrient-packed, delicious meals delivered fresh to your door. No cooking required. Ordering is super easy too. Just visit freshly.com and choose from over 30 delicious, satisfying, better-for-you meals like the steak peppercorn, one of my absolute favorites, sausage baked penne, also a home run, or their chicken pesto bowl. Here's the thing. They use healthy ingredients, but it doesn't taste overly healthy. I think you know what I mean when I say that. They're delicious. They're really well portioned too, so you're always satisfied after you have one. Right now, our listeners can try Freshly for just $6.16 per meal. Stop searching the internet for healthy food near me every night and start living life freshly. Right now, Freshly is offering our listeners $40 off your first 2 orders when you go to freshly.com/WeGotThis. Stop stressing about dinner. Go to freshly.com/WeGotThis for $40 off your first 2 orders. That's freshly.com/WeGotThis for $40 off your first 2 orders.
This episode of We Got This with Mark and Hal is brought to you in part by Manscaped. How are we going to get through this ad without A, making each other giggle, B, giving away too much information about ourselves, and C, still doing justice to what is I'm not going to lie, pretty fantastic product?
Let's find out. Manscaped offers precision-engineered tools for your family jewels, and they just launched their 4th-generation trimmer, the Lawnmower 4.0. I want you to imagine, Mark, for a second. Shaving with a sleek, well-designed, and optimized trimmer that makes shaving time your favorite time in the bathroom because nobody wants their privates to look like they got into a cartoon fight and have Band-Aids all over them. And that happens. You can do some damage down there, right?
Sure. Now I'm just picturing what that art would look like if it was on Assorted Networks. Because that image of all of those Band-Aids, the Disney version's going to be different than the Adult Swim version, than the Nickelodeon version.
I'm thinking of an old Fleischer cartoon.
Black and white and red all over.
Yes.
I will just say this about Manscaped, because I'm not a gentleman who gives away TMI in a ad, but I am a fan of this product, and it works exactly as described.
That's right. The upgraded trimmer includes a multifunction on-off switch that can engage a travel lock, because nobody wants to deal with that when you're going through airport security. It also gives you the ability to turn on the 4000K LED spotlight when you need it for a more precise shave, which is that is so smart, having the light built into it. It is a game changer. By the way, wireless charging. There's a new wireless charging system that uses electromagnetic induction, which can help battery length last longer.
So, get 20% off and free shipping with the code WeGotThis at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com, and use the code WeGotThis. Unlock your confidence and always use the right tools for the job with Manscaped.
Get 20% off of the thing you'll use to take 100% off. Thank you, Manscaped.
All right, we're back. I'm so curious that Big Daddy is so high up on both of your lists, because that movie to me it does have that sort of Chaplin's the Kid kind of misfit parent and child relationship, but it doesn't seem like a terribly memorable movie to me. I barely remember Big Daddy.
Really?
Yeah.
I remember a lot of it.
I still say hip hop anonymous when they're trying to teach Rob Schneider English. He's the delivery guy.
Yes.
Which is a problematic performance, obviously.
Problematic, yes, of course.
But yeah, no, that's one of those ones. Scuba Steve. Like, my mom and I talk about Scuba Steve all the time.
And him messing around to try to get the McMuffins from McDonald's because they're stopping breakfast service. Like, it's and also Leslie Mann, who is the fiance of his roommate, played by Jon Stewart, who's the actual father of the child, played by Dylan and Cole Sprouse. And
Wait, Jon Stewart is Dylan and Cole Sprouse's dad?
That's right. In real life. And
that's what I thought. Yeah, I thought you just said that who is the real life dad of those two kids. And that's where my mind just got blown.
he and Leslie Mann Adam Sandler and Leslie Mann are constantly insulting one another. Mm-hmm. And all of his jokes center around her working at Hooters, which is also problematic. But the one comedic line that I think he delivers perfectly when she gets the better of him is him going, Hooters, Hooters, Hooters.
Well, yeah, because Leslie Mann is Adam Sandler's ex-girlfriend who leaves him because she wants to get back together with her old ex-boyfriend who has a 5-year plan.
That's right.
And then they end up working at Hooters. Because they have the birthday party or whatever at the end of the movie at Hooters, and he's flipping, the old man is flipping the burgers.
Yes.
I do remember that at the end of the movie. Like I said, this one, for some reason, it doesn't ring that big a bell for me.
Right. That's the whole reason why he essentially takes the kid.
Yeah, is because he's like, I'm going to be an adult. You can see that I'm a grown up, that I have a 5-year plan.
But that is like the arc. He has more of an arc in that. You could argue that is an arc in Billy Madison as well. You could argue as an arc in any of these movies too.
But his arc in all of those, his arc in all of those movies is the same, which is grow up.
I don't think in Happy Gilmore he particularly changes outside of being a good golfer. Like everything he does is for the right reasons, right? He cares about his grandmother, doesn't want her to lose her home. So he gives up his dream of playing hockey to go play golf because he realizes that's how he can make money to help her.
Right. Mm-hmm. I guess the situation is because the arc is, Mark, you were saying, and I agree, the arc is pretty much always grow up. Mm-hmm. So then that kind of levels the playing field. And then I think at that point you have to look at stakes. That's the thing that's like, which of these has the higher stakes? And it's like, okay, does a rich guy graduating high school so that he can get the company, take over the company? Are those stakes that we really like?
I agree that those are full on privilege stakes.
It's still so good. Tim Hurley in that movie makes me laugh every time.
Yeah, it's such a funny movie.
At no point in that rambling,
Incoherent.
she come close to anything resembling a point.
My wife. Well, what is the one category name? My wife, the tramp.
Yes.
Yeah. Bradley Whitford's in that movie.
Bradley Whitford as a villain I think we need to look at some of the supporting cast now in these. Because yes, we are looking for Adam Sandler movies, but the supporting casts in these are very important. And you mentioned Whitford, and he is perfect in Billy Madison.
Yes.
Yeah.
Shooter McGavin, Christopher McDonald is perfect in Happy Gilmore. Like the foils that he got early on were such great, smarmy jerk villain foils.
Yes.
Well, that's like Glenn Guglia in Wedding Singer.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like this yuppie, junk bond guy who dresses like he's in Miami Vice.
Ah, it's amazing. Do you want to marry Julia? Pfft, I don't want to break up. Like he's just like all of the even just lines that those other characters have that are so succinctly them.
And that's Matthew Glave, by the way, as Glenn Guglia.
Whose IMDb photo, he looks like Frank Sinatra. Like,
yes.
Amazing.
It's very
it looks
interesting.
He looks like the guy who played Kojak's dad.
So he just looks like Robert Davi does now?
Yes. Sort of.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Who is the guy that is in so many of his movies and is always a blast?
Alan Covert?
Is that the one I'm thinking of that in...
He plays the limo driver in Wedding Singer.
Yeah.
With the Michael Jackson jacket.
Yes.
Yes.
Say hi to your brother Tito for me.
Yeah. When that guy rolls in the Michael Jackson jacket, I'm still team Wedding Singer so far.
Me too. I love Frank Silvano. Like
Frank
him in any
Silvano.
movie. Okay, in Goodfellas, he ends up in the meat truck. Hanging in the meat truck. He's got the helmet. He's the Italian with the helmet of hair. He plays
Frank Severo.
Severo, sorry.
Yes.
He plays Adam's sister's husband in The Wedding Singer.
Yeah.
We were wild. We were wild. She used to do this exotic dance for me. He's my favorite.
I don't know who this guy is. Oh, yes.
Yes,
okay.
you do. I'm like, if you see a picture of him, you will know exactly who he is.
He looks like a Monchichi.
Yes, he looks exactly like a Monchichi.
Yeah.
The perfect descriptor for his hair.
Right?
Yeah. He's the best. He's the best.
The comedic premise, though, I think the comedic premise has to factor in, right? And the comedic premise of Billy Madison, the idea that he's going to go from kindergarten all the way through high school because his dad paid off teachers the entire time as a 25-year-old or however old he is at the time of that man is a really, like, that is a pitch that sells it in the room.
Yeah.
Like if you're in the room and go, hey, this guy who's 20 years old has to go from kindergarten through, he has 2 weeks to complete all 18 years or 15 years of schooling that you go through.
And that's such a great thing to have in a Sandler movie too, because it's, especially the early ones are such dumb comedy that you you just want the comedy to come at you. You don't want to think too hard. And if the plot of the movie is, hey, here is exactly the game. The game is this. Then you don't have to worry about following the plot. You know what I mean? Like you watch Uncut Gems and you're like, oh my God, okay, he has this bet going, but I guess somebody shorted that bet on him. And then, oh man,
now I got to know how sports betting works.
Yeah. And there's two guys in a car, but wait a minute. Eric Bogosian's his brother-in-law. Like, hold on. No, Billy Madison is just doofus goes through school in 2 weeks and his dad is the dad from Christmas Story. Ready, go.
His kindergarten teacher doing her interpretive dance during recess, and she puts the paste on her face.
Yeah,
it's
all of the details,
and it makes me.
Yeah,
she's so good. Like, isn't Josh Mostel in that? And he's amazing in it.
He's the principal who's a former professional wrestler.
Yes.
Yeah, and he killed someone accidentally and they're blackmailing him. What's he called? The Blob, I think.
Yes, he was the Blob.
It's so, that scene, and Adam Sandler's not even in it. That scene with him and Bradley Whitford watching Josh Mostel wither in front of smarmy Bradley Whitford's blackmail attempts is comedy gold. Not to mention our old teacher is in that movie.
Oh, yes.
So we have to give a shout out to Mark Beltzman.
But he's also in The Wedding Singer.
Wait,
That's
who does
true.
he play? Who does he play?
He's the other buddy that isn't Norm Macdonald.
Yeah. And in The Wedding
yeah.
Singer, he's the one who says, "Do you like Flock of Seagulls?"
No, but I can see you do.
And there's Sideburns Lady in The Wedding Singer. Like, all of those weird little details.
But
I
also,
think Brian Posehn's in that as well. He's part of the table.
Of the Table of Weirdos.
Oh, yeah.
I'm pretty sure he is.
That feels like a very Brian Posehn,
Yeah.
like, that they
And-
would cast him in.
Steve Buscemi. We have not talked about Steve Buscemi yet.
Oh, my gosh.
Him and Billy Madison just crossing him off the list of people to kill and then putting the lipstick on.
Oh, my God. And then waving at the end with the...
Yeah.
He winds up...
He's got the shotgun or whatever.
It's so good.
Billy Madison has the best collection of day player characters that are just absolutely fantastic.
Yeah. The thing in Billy Madison that I think I like the best, obviously the great pacing piece they have is the party each time he completes
Yeah.
a level of school. And I think is the elementary one where they have the clown on stilts who gets knocked over and falls and they're all laughing at him. And then later on, just a
In
little
the
later
musical
on,
montage.
they cut to him and he's on the ground with blood coming out of his mouth.
Yep.
Got a
And it's
hemorrhage in my head.
Oh, it's
I
so
bet you thought I was
dark.
dead.
Yes. It's amazing. Just like,
They
I
have a
don't know.
full-on musical number in the middle of that
no reason.
movie. For no reason.
It's pure lunacy.
Mad Cat.
And she's dressed like a beer maiden.
Uh-huh.
Veronica Vaughn is for some
Yes.
reason.
I want to talk about Veronica Vaughn for a second
Sure.
because she's great. I think chemistry wise, though, as far as the Adam Sandler movies go, she is not the best of his partners in these movies. You've got Jennifer Aniston in a couple of them. You've got
Yep.
Drew Barrymore in a couple of them.
The gold standard.
Are really like
Julie
the-
Bowen is great in Happy Gilmore.
Julie Bowen and Happy Gilmore. Emily Watson in Punch Drunk Love.
Drunk Love. Yeah.
Right.
So I think that's kind of one of the only downsides to Billy Madison for me is she's not, she's very good. I don't remember the actor's name.
She played Sonya, right?
Bridget Wilson is the
She
name.
was in
Bridget
Mortal
Wilson.
Kombat, right?
Yeah,
Is
she
she?
played Sonya
Yeah.
Blade in the original Mortal Kombat as well.
So
Yeah.
she's great, but they don't have the chemistry that he has with like Drew Barrymore or Aniston.
I just
No.
always think of in Wedding Singer that where he comes to tell her how he feels and he looks up into the window and she started saying like, "I'm Julia Goulia," and she starts to cry and then she's like, "I'm Mrs. Robbie Hart," and you're just like, "Oh, they're so cute together." You know,
Yeah.
like they're both kind of like dopey, silly, sweet, like hearted people.
Yeah.
That's what I like about their pairing in The Wedding Singer.
I love it so much. And the scene at the end on the plane when he sings, "I want to grow old with you."
I turned to
Oh.
my boyfriend when we were watching it and I was like, "This is one of the most romantic songs ever. I just want you to know."
It's a
Like,
perfect
this-
song.
It's perfect.
Yeah.
And Billy Idol's there.
That's
Great.
right. Yeah, he sings with him, doesn't he?
You get
No.
out of my way, Billy Idol. He blocks,
He blocks Glenn. From
Oh,
he
getting
grabs
down.
the cart and he blocks Glenn and he's like, "Could I get you something from the trolley?" You get out of my way, Billy Idol.
Yeah, you're gonna get hurt. And then some big guy stands up and he's like, "You don't talk to Billy Idol."
Yeah. The added layer of 80s goofiness was a wonderful touch to The Wedding Singer.
Yeah, the music
Mm-hmm.
honestly is its own character in that. I just think of anytime I hear Celebrate, I think I can't not hear Alexis Arquette's "Ooh yeah, let's celebrate."
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Alexis Arquette is also amazing in
Yes.
that movie.
Yeah. Do you really?
Oh, yeah, when he's
Want
singing
to
Holiday at the
hurt
beginning.
me?
Yeah. It's
And everyone's like, "Boo," because it's the second time because he's
Yeah.
outside.
And Lovitz is great.
Yes,
With his very brief cameo as the guy auditioning for the job of wedding singer.
it's ladies' night, and the fever. Right. Well, that has the best, like suspension of disbelief moment where he goes, "He's going insane, and I'm reaping all the benefits," and then the curtain just closes
Yes.
in front of him. Like it's such a stupid visual gag, and I can almost like 80% think that was on the day. Just
Right.
like, hey, what if we just pulled the curtain closed in front of him for out of
Oh.
nowhere?
I thought he was the one pulling it. I thought he was like hiding.
You don't see
himself
his
behind it.
hands. He's
You just see
literally
his
just
eyes go
standing
wide.
there, and then the curtain just closes in front of him.
Well, it's a delightful
Yes.
GIF as well.
It's so good.
It's like, if you look up Lovitz, I think it's the first GIF that pops up for John Lovitz.
I don't know when I abandoned Big Daddy for Billy Madison, but here I am.
Yeah.
If we're
Yep.
if we're talking about SNL castmate cameos,
hmm
as great as Lovitz is, it doesn't even hold a candle to Chris Farley as the bus driver on their field
Oh.
trip, where he's like, "Good, great, another banana," and
Yeah.
then him eating all of the sandwiches,
Him and his two
Everyone's watching,
friends just
laughing.
eating
Yeah.
everybody's
just
lunches.
eating. It's so good, and his somebody throws something and it hits him, and he gets that super red face and gets so upset. It's just amazing. It's
Also
so funny.
In that scene, I'd also like to point out that, boy, we wind up talking a lot about Billy Madison. It's jumping up there onto the Mount Rushmore. There's a wonderful bit in that scene where only Adam Sandler could make a movie where the way that you realize that deep down he's a good guy is that he pees his pants.
He puts water on his pants.
Or
Yeah.
puts water on his pants.
is
Fakes that he
cool.
pees his
I'm
pants.
Miles Davis.
Yes. That's
Yeah.
the grossest thing I've ever heard.
And then all of the kids, like him convincing an entire busload of kids to pee their pants as his act of good naturedness it's genius. It's comedy genius.
And they all give him a high five. They give the kid a high five.
Yeah.
Awesome. They've all peed their pants when they get back
Yeah.
on the bus.
Yeah, you just see they all have like big wet spots in the front of their pants, and it's very funny. It's a very funny movie.
And it's got that sweetness, though, that we were talking
Yeah.
about, that heart to it. Like that in and of itself is a very specific thing, a very specific, this character, how do they show their solidarity and love and appreciation? And they do it in a very specific way that is very gross, but it doesn't take away from how sweet it is.
Well, and that's sort of the specificity of that sweetness, I think, is what makes an Adam Sandler movie, which is why I would argue that some of these other ones that we've been talking about, some of the rom-coms, the later romantic comedies, anybody kind of could have been cast. Now, I know it's a Happy Madison production, a lot of these, but like a couple who is going through some marital stuff who gets back together by the end, a woman who doesn't remember knowing this person. And I could see a lot of different actors taking on those roles and those movies being successful. I don't know if there's anyone on earth who could have done Billy Madison, Happy Gilmore, maybe even The Wedding Singer,
I don't know.
except him.
I think by your definition, I think you probably could have had other actors in The Wedding Singer.
I don't think so.
You don't think
Here's
so?
Why? Because his musical part of himself, Adam Sandler, as a musician, is an integral part, I think, of The Wedding Singer, in that he is, because he's a musician, him singing all of these songs as the wedding singer, it's not awkward, it's not uncomfortable, because sometimes when actors sing and they're okay singers, it's not like they're tone deaf or whatever, it's still, there's a lack of confidence behind it because they're not musical performers. Whereas I think Adam Sandler, because he's a musician, it's far more natural. He can perform as a singer, and which is a big component, I think, of, The Wedding Singer. Like any other actor singing Grow Old With You with the guitar walking down the aisle of the plane, I don't necessarily think anybody else could do that as well as he did.
I might have one for you that is another SNL musical guy, and the other guy who sort of partially made his hay on SNL by playing the guitar during Weekend Update was Jimmy Fallon.
Jimmy Fallon.
That could be a Jimmy Fallon movie.
Here's the deal. Jimmy Fallon is too smarmy.
Yeah.
He's too smarmy. I don't think Adam Sandler is a smarmy guy. I think he's a weirdo. Jimmy Fallon, to me, always and this is just my feelings about Jimmy Fallon,
Right.
so you can take them or leave them.
Yeah.
But his performance was always like, to me, rang like, see how cute and like, I'm cute and I play the guitar, and like, he always kind of was aware of his like appeal as being like the cute young dude, and he broke all the time, in every sketch.
The
and, like,
breaking was a little much, yeah.
but like he knew his vibe, right? Whereas Adam Sandler, I think that there's something very organic just about him performing, because his characters were so and like wacky that when he was just himself, it was something that was very natural. Whereas Jimmy Fallon, even today, I feel is always playing this kind of like smarmy, like, kind
Ain't
of.
I a stinker?
I hear
boop,
you.
boop.
I will
hear
say
you.
also that his just quickly on the song thing, there is that song in the middle in that scene where Lovitz gets enveloped in the curtain. The song he's singing is nobody could have done that but Adam Sandler, which begins all sweet about the wonderful things that she said to him and then launches into, pardon the swearing, but it all was bullshit. Like,
And then when he finishes,
so funny.
When he finishes, Drew Barrymore's like, he's just weeping to himself on the stool, you know? And I also think about Idiot Boyfriend, or no, On the Bathroom Wall, which was Jimmy Fallon's comedy album.
Mm-hmm.
He did the whole second half is his stand up at some college, and he does the impressions, and one of the ones he does is Adam Sandler. So for me, Adam Sandler's the blueprint for Jimmy Fallon, which is why I don't think Jimmy Fallon could do that role as well as Adam Sandler did.
For sure. I think that could be of these, just looking at these, and they're all distinctly Adam Sandler because he is who he is. And they are born at least partially from his brain or from writers who he has strong, he's one of those guys who made relationships with all of the writers, and they love to write for him and write with him, and they've come with him on this journey. But, based on the Jimmy Fallon stuff that I saw, particularly the one, I can't remember that he did, Fever Pitch.
I really like Fever Pitch.
I did too. That felt like it could have been an Adam Sandler movie. It could have been Adam Sandler in there instead. You could interchange them in that.
Oh, okay.
And so there was a time where Jimmy Fallon was much more of a puppy dog kind of guy. Now he's like the host of the Tonight Show. But I think earlier in his career, and Adam Sandler, by the way, would break while he was doing his songs. If you go back and watch, he does laugh at it.
Fair.
But he didn't do it during sketch. Well, he did do it. So if you were in a sketch with Farley, you had a good shot at laughing.
Nobody had a chance.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, doing like, nice fries. Could I have some? Like that. Everybody would laugh.
Lay off.
I'm starving.
Yeah. So I would not argue, but I think it's possible that could have been at some point a Jimmy Fallon, and he would have pulled it off. Specifically the song, I think he could have pulled off on the airplane, but it would have been different. There is something to Adam Sandler where it feels like he's never had an advantage in his life. Like Jimmy Fallon's is a traditionally handsome guy.
Yeah.
Sandler just looks schlubby.
Yeah.
Sandler looks like a schlubby dude that I went to Hebrew school with when I was younger.
Yeah. He does look like everybody's buddy they went to Hebrew school with.
Yeah. Like I know what he looked like at Hebrew sleepaway camp. I just know. I can tell
Someone on Twitter posted, it was when they still cropped photos, in your feed.
Yeah.
And it was a paparazzi photo, and it was a big baggy Superman t-shirt and big baggy basketball shorts, and I went, that's Adam Sandler. Like I knew before you even to see the head, I was like, this is Adam Sandler playing basketball on his street outside in front of his house. Like,
or knowing Adam Sandler wearing a Superman t-shirt and basketball shorts, he could have been going to the Golden Globes.
Like
he is consistently ranked one of the worst dressed in Hollywood.
But that's the thing is, I think like Jimmy, I don't let my intense dislike for Jimmy Fallon color this episode, but
too late.
He knows he's cute. That was also part of the thing. Whereas Adam Sandler is just kind of like, I am who I am.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. He's
maybe
like,
you'll find me attractive.
I look like Jimmy Durante's grandson. Like he'll throw out stuff. Almost every movie he's in, he makes some reference to what he looks like.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That is a hang up. That is a hang up for him, or at least his characters. Something he's acknowledging.
So it seems like at this point, based on this conversation, do we have a couple that we can put into contention as our final 2 or 3?
It sounds like we have 2 that are kind of head to head.
Singer and Billy Madison.
It sounds like the
weddings. Yeah. It's going to be one of the 2.
So let's see between the Wedding Singer and Billy Madison, who's got what assets and who's got what liabilities. The Wedding Singer, the romance is great and it's believable and their chemistry is great, which Billy Madison doesn't have. Billy Madison has all of these Sandler-isms, like the most Sandler-isms. I would argue right now, if we were doing best Sandler movie, it would be Wedding Singer. And if we were doing most Sandler movie, it would be Billy Madison.
Hard agree. I think also in the category of most day player part, like his community people, Billy Madison wins because it's a little toned down. There are only like a couple people that are external characters that show up again.
Yeah.
And it's also the blueprint for pretty much all the Adam Sandler gags and stuff that came after it. Like the tone, the rhythms were all established in that movie. And it extends still all the way through his modern day. Even stuff like Hubie Halloween, you can trace that DNA very clearly right back to the games that he was establishing in Billy Madison.
Right. Yeah. But are the stakes, you mentioned stakes before, Katie, are the privileged kid getting his dad's company stakes, they're definitely not as high as Finding True Love, the highest stakes of all, but is like that enough to like, I don't know, is that a factor in it as well?
Well, I think that Wedding Singer has more of the heart that we were talking about than Billy Madison. Not that Billy Madison doesn't have heart, but like in terms of a connection emotionally to the film, I'm more connected to Wedding Singer. I feel like it's sweeter. You know, the sweetness of that movie is more present.
Yeah, I feel like we actually get a version of Sandler in that movie that is almost like we keep saying that, well, this movie is the bridge from this to this. It's the fact is he can just do a lot of stuff very well.
Yeah.
Right. And the thing that I think that he does in this that we don't see in Billy Madison is that heart. I think you're right. I think there are more gags in Billy Madison, but I think the better movie is Wedding Singer.
I actually really liked what you said, Mark, about how the best Adam Sandler movie is The Wedding Singer, but the most Adam Sandler movie is Billy Madison. I think that it depends on what best means, you know, and is it best or most? So in that case, I think it's kind of an even split between, I don't know how this show works in terms of like, is that allowed?
This is not the first time we've had the best or most conversation.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
And we always, you know, we set out when somebody asks us what is the best, we take a sacred oath. We swear covenant that we will select the best, not the most, not our favorite. We will dig through and get past our own biases to determine what is the best. And I think we've done that here today. I think it's clear based on this.
I'm so excited because it's my favorite.
It's my favorite too. And it's also a Broadway musical.
Sometimes it works out that way. Sometimes you get it all.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we did like really break it down into the components of what makes an Adam Sandler movie. And I do truly believe, despite, you know, it being my favorite, that The Wedding Singer has all the components that really make it true. And actually, to be honest, in the case of best Adam Sandler movie, second place, if we're going by best, I think is
Big Daddy.
Big Daddy. Yeah.
That's correct. That's
Cal,
correct.
you are correct.
Look, we can all agree that it's not Uncut Gems.
Sorry,
film folks.
Sorry, the Oscars.
Yeah.
Sorry, everybody. I'm sorry. Well, people of the world, we're flying at 26,000 feet, moving up to 30,000 feet. We've got clear skies all the way to Las Vegas. Right now, we're bringing you some in-flight entertainment. 3 of your favorite entertainers would like to make a decision and hand it down to you, our coach passengers. And since we left our first-class passengers do pretty much whatever they want, here it is. The best Adam Sandler movie is The Wedding Singer. Now, please get out of my Van Halen t-shirt before you jinx the band and they break up. Asked and answered.
Oh.
My favorite is when she goes, "Wake me up before you go, girl, and every hanging so low." Like she doesn't know the words to wake up.
Oh. Katie Willert, thank you so much for coming on the show today.
Thank you guys for having me.
This was a blast.
Delightful.
Where do you want people to go do you want people to go and find you?
I very much do.
Good. Can they find your delightful pattern art? Can they find your comedy work?
Well, you can find my general personality and comedy on Twitter, which is at KAWILLERT. So at KA Willert. And I'm very excited. I'm launching a scarf brand because I've started doing textile design.
Hey,
and it's
very
called
cool.
Riot Textiles, RIOT Textiles. So it's riottextiles.com, at Riot Textiles on Instagram. I'm very into it. I'm wearing one of my designs right now.
It's very cool.
It's
so cool.
a checkerboard with purple, a purple border and splatters. I'm really inspired by like women in 80s punk, polystyrene, Debbie Harry, just like that kind of don't give an F vibe.
Yeah.
And so I've started producing, I worked with manufacturer to produce these scarves. I'm really excited. And
I'm excited now too, because your patterns are, of course, when you mention Debbie Harry and 80s, and I'm like, yeah, they're colorful, they're bright, they're exciting, and it's really, really fun work you do.
Oh, thank you so much. That means a lot. It's very interesting. I normally am a producer, like that's my trade. And, during COVID and being kind of home and getting laid off from the Quibi show I was working on, which RIP Quibi. But getting to get really clear about what I like, and I like making silk scarves. Who knew?
Yeah. It's wild. Well, thank you for coming on the show. Thank you for sharing your brain and your joy and your laugh and your artistry with us. It's very, very cool of you to do, and we thank you for it. This topic is closed for all time, so don't bother arguing it. But there are many more topics to discuss, so please reach out to us on Twitter, or
you can email us at wegotThisPodcast@gmail.com, or go to Facebook. Share your favorite Adam Sandler movie moments and GIFs, and disagree with us, but know that you live in a world where the decision's already been made. Facebook.com/groups/WeGotThisPodcast. Thank you to producer Ken Plume, researcher Kate McManus, graphic designer Uri Kelman, and QA engineer Jen Elba.
And thanks, of course, to our musicians, Jonathan Dinerstein and Mike Furman, for our score and theme song, respectively. And thanks to you, the people of the world. Habba-hoo-doo-hoo. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. For Hal Lublin, I'm Mark Gagliardi.
For Mark Gagliardi, I'm Al Loveland. Don't worry, everybody.
We got this.
We got this.
MaximumFun.org.
Comedy and culture.
Artist owned.
Audience supported.